Well, here with me at the Gherkin is Tom Jenkins, the Executive Director of the European Tour Operators Association, which represents international travel companies. Nice to see you, Tom. Thanks for coming in. What evidence do we have that the border agency won't simply crank up its staff over Easter and fill those desks?
I think we don't have any evidence that they won't do so. All we have is past experience, and past experience has shown us that we've seen maximum wait times at places like Heathrow go from an hour and 45 minutes back in 2009 to about 3 hours last year. And this is really pretty tough for incoming visitors.
So it's possible they will have a cunning plan for this year. They will have learned from last year.
Anything is possible, but past experience shows that if something has to give, the give that's giving is the welcome we offer our visitors.
And in your view, is it simply a question, if it goes wrong, of too few staff, or is there a flawed system?
Well, I mean, what you've got is you've got a very elaborate presentation of full security at Heathrow. And I think it's probably high time that we reconsider looking at a risk-based assessment of filtering people through those queues.
What does that mean?
Well, it means checking, not necessarily scanning every UK passport holder, for instance. At the moment, we don't scan any people carrying continental ID cards, but we do scan UK passport holders. Now, surely it would make sense to give UK passport holders the same level of scanning as we give continental ID holders, but we don't at the moment.
Well, the last time we had a sharp drop in scrutiny at our borders, all sorts of ne'er-do-wells and horrible people turned up. As we know, we have a serious social problem in this country of people coming here, claiming asylum, later turning out to be rapists, murderers. We can't get rid of them. Surely you are not suggesting that we put any of that, the scrutiny of these people, at risk simply to help out the travel companies?
I'm not saying we should help out the travel companies. What we do have is we have a major problem with Britain's tourism industry enduring a major decline in its competitiveness. And one of the lead causes of the decline in the competitiveness is the welcome we give our guests.
Well, you know, I think most voters would say, well, if that's the price of safety and security, I'm sorry, they'll just have to pay it.
I think if it's simply a question of do you want jobs or do you want to have this very ostentatious facade of security that we're presenting at Heathrow?
With all due respect, you sound like a lobby group that's really sort of dressing up self-interest as principle here. The principle is UK security. We have a security problem. Evidence shows that. And we do not want our border staff in any way to compromise their rigour.
Look, you're saying you don't want the border staff to compromise their rigour.
You're saying you do.
I'm saying that...
so you're happy to have our safety compromised?
No, I'm saying what safety is being compromised if we give UK passport holders the same level of scrutiny that we give continental ID holders. Are you happy with the level of scrutiny we're giving UK?
I'm perfectly happy because, in my view, that we should risk nothing. And of course, we do have some bogus UK passport holders. We know that for sure.
And all I'm saying is that we've got continental ID holders not being scanned at the moment. Are you happy with that?
Well, it's nice of you to ask me the questions rather than the other way around. I'm not happy with anything that takes one risk, with even a small risk, with UK security. And I think if the price that we have to pay, and I think most voters would agree with me, that if the price we have to pay is an extra 30 minutes in a queue, most people would say, well, let's pay it, because we don't want to endanger our own lives and the lives of fellow citizens.
Then the only solution is for us to spend more money in that area, because at the moment the 3-hour wait that visitors this country are receiving is simply unacceptable, and it's causing major economic damage.
How do they do it elsewhere?
They don't scan every passport in the way that we do, and they have sufficient staff in place.
Have you been to the United States recently? I was in Chicago and I was in a 3-hour queue.
Did you enjoy it?
I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't blame the Americans one jot. I thought they were perfectly entitled to protect their own borders.
Well, the only problem is that America has suffered a decline in its market share of visitors, and they are trying to do something radical about its border.
So you believe there is a direct trade-off between stimulating Britain's tourism industry and taking a risk with security?
I don't accept that there's a significant risk with security in that area, but I do say that there's a major problem with UK tourism.
But isn't a small risk a risk too far?
I don't... Well, every risk, you've got to look at proportionate risks. They take proportionate risks at customs. Do you want every person scanned at customs? We take risks on the London Underground, which was the scene of a terrorist attack. Do you want every person scanned as they go into the London Underground? No, these things are not possible. What you're doing is you're creating barriers because you're able to create barriers. And furthermore, you're putting in place restrictions in areas where you can place restrictions, but you don't bother because you can't do it with certain other people. If you're a continental person carrying an ID card, you get let in without a scan. If you're a UK person, you are scanned. And I don't think that is proportionate. I don't think it's got anything to do with safety.
Well, I think we may ask our viewers if they agree with you. But Tom Jenkins, many thanks for coming in to put that case.
Thanks a lot.